So this was a comment on my video from the other day about the Arakalis build, about the old spiders. And I think it's pretty fair. I appreciate the honesty about the cons of the build, but the title should say why I think this build is trash. It was a very thinly veiled distaste, honestly, for the clunkiness of the build. I've always been curious about the Arakalis build. Always looked really neat. I always wanted to try it. And we had a sub goal on the stream because a lot of people they always come in and they say, hey, play a minion build, try minions. I actually played minions back in the day. My first level 100 ever was a slave driver specter aura stacker, low life aura stacker, really back in Blight League, and that was a really fun build. But really, after all of the nerfs, like every time I look back at minions, I just, nothing really appeals to me, and especially with all the nerfs in, what was it, Lake of Kalandra, when they did the historic rework of minions. I haven't really been inspired to look back at them. And yeah, so I had this video a day or two ago, and I, you can tell from the thumbnail, I just didn't fall in love with the build. I like the idea. Like, I like the spiders. I like the auto summoning of the spiders. I think they operate really nicely with Profane Bloom. I think there's some cool stuff there. But basically what I had done is I went to PoE Ninja. I had people in chat that also had played the build as well, giving me some advice. And I put together basically like the meta version. I looked at a bunch of different versions on PoE Ninja, and I put together what looked like the average build that everyone played. That seems to be reflected also in the comments of this video. However, there were quite a few comments from folks saying, hey, this is not the best way to play Arakalis. I know that this is the meta version. You're playing the standard version, but I just don't think that this is not the right way to do it. I am a master of the Arakalis Fang. Let me teach you. And yeah, there are a bunch of comments with a bunch of different ideas and a bunch of different texts. And I thought what we would do today is I would go through all of your guys' suggestions. We'll synthesize them down to a handful of different ideas, and we'll put together different things, and we'll just kind of review it. And so yeah, well, that's what I did this morning. Is I bought a bunch of the gems and the items and everything that you guys recommended, and we're going to run through a map for each different variation. I rolled up a tier 16 strand. They're all very similarly rolled. They're all about the same. And we're also going to use the Black Star Polaric Invitation to test the single target. I know it's not like an uber single target test, but right now buying a bunch of invitations and it's a pain in the ass, trust me. At this point of the league, it's not the worst, but trading right now is not awesome. Really want to try everything that you guys suggested. We're going to see if you guys can convince me that I can like this build. My mind is open. I want to enjoy this build. I think the idea and the foundation of it's really cool. And yeah, I'll talk about my thoughts on all these different things, see if it solves the real clunky problem that I had with it. And I'm definitely going to learn something. Maybe you guys can learn something as well. And I'd love to hear from you guys below if there's more stuff that I should try and all that. And yeah, maybe at the end of it, we come up with a version that I really love, and kind of us together can work on a build that I can share as like a cohesive build guide. That, that one of the complaints in the comments was there's no real good Arakalis build guides out there that talk about it comprehensively. And, maybe that's something that we can fix together. So yeah, let's get to it. So in terms of trying to keep this video short and sweet, I'm just going to kind of cut through things really quickly. I'll talk about, we'll try to get the highlights there, and then we can get a quick little review. So the basic idea is I want to try each little tech that you guys talked about. We're going to show them in isolation, and I'm going to try to compare them from the baseline of what I have right now. And then at the very end, I'll try to synthesize that together in what I feel is the best, and I'll just see if that, changes my mind. So the first thing that I thought was really interesting, coming here from Mr. Mollusk, says if you're using Gravebinds, and I do recognize also in the video yesterday, I talked about Gravebinds a lot. I wasn't using Gravebinds, but I talked about it a lot. It's a thing that can, if you have a different setup, solve some of the clunk, the issue that I had with summoning the spiders. But I agree that, Gravebinds are not best in slot. If you can avoid using them, that would be great, because they're not like, the item itself, right, is not very good. Mr. Mollusk says, if you're using Gravebinds, you can link Infernal Legion to Skitterbots, then resummoning your spiders is as simple as pressing the flask. You still have to desecrate at the start of the map, but a strong point of this build is how much cool tech you have available. Because you don't have as much socket pressure. We don't have, AG, inspectors, and all that, although you can add it if you want to. It opens up a lot of different variations, including using SRS with Feeding Frenzy and Castwell channeling Cyclone. And so we're going to talk about all that as well. But I just wanted to highlight the Gravebind thing at first as well. So I'll just give you guys a quick little baseline. I'm not even going to run through the whole map or anything with the, the basic variation. I had it in the video yesterday. But just to, lay the foundation of what I found annoying about this build is to get the engine running, right? Like we go into a map, we don't have any spiders out. So you have to cast Desecrate, then you have to use your Writhing Jar, and then you have to use a skill to deal damage. So I was using Divine Ire before, and then we use Divine Ire, and then as long as there are corpses around us from our Desecrate, then we can kind of shield charge around, and the spiders will start killing things. And then the other thing is if you accidentally have too many corpses, it'll summon 20 spiders, and then if you have 20 spiders, they will all die at the exact same time. And then if no monsters around you have poison on them, or they're not just about to die, then all of your spiders fall off, and you kind of have to just like back away and start the engine again. You just like, it's a cold start, right? And that just felt really, really uncomfortable. Now, as long as you don't summon 20 spiders at the beginning, it's not that big of a deal. And, this build is really, really, really fast, right? Like, it's exceptionally fast. So it's not really that big of a deal, but I found it clunky enough. And then particularly in single target situations, you have to resummon in the middle of a boss fight or something, or if you mess it up, like, that does feel really bad. So yeah, that's the basic foundation of like what I found clunky. So the idea here is to use the grave binds, which then say nearby enemies killed by anyone, right? Any minion that you have or anything counts as being killed by you. And the way that Raised Spiders works from Arakalis is they have to be killed by you. Like something has to be killed by you to summon the spiders. And Gravebinds kind of get around that. And so we don't have to use Divine Ire or anything like that, but we need something to kill, right? And so what we can do is, in this example, we can use Infernal Legion. And I went all out today. I bought high-level gems, alternate quality gems, and all that. The idea here is we are using Skitterbots, which are immortal, right? They don't die, but by linking them with Infernal Legion support, they can do a pretty decent amount of base damage, right? 2394 base fire damage per second. The nice thing about this, right, is the downside usually is they take 40% of their life per second, but since they're immortal, we don't have to worry about that. And then I went all out. I linked it to a level 6 Awakened Minion damage support with a Burning damage support. I guess I don't have Awakened Burning damage, but that's pretty tiny. And then Divergent Summer Skitterbots right here, which is whatever. The big downside with this is our Skitterbots, especially linked to these other support gems, cost a ton of mana, right? Like they're costing a 49% reservation here, and that's after, charisma and everything that I have. I have quite a few different mana reservation efficiency nodes, and that's still 49% mana because I've linked it with so much. Now, granted, I don't have to do that, but I kind of thought the cool idea, and I'll show you in a map real quick, the cool idea here is to get them to do enough damage and to have them strong enough so they're actually nice to have around, right? Like the shock and the chill from the Skitterbots already is going to be nice to have. And then if they can deal a decent amount of damage, then maybe I can drop the Writhing Jar. And that's the idea that I had right here. And I just want to see if these guys can even kill white monsters. Because if they can, I mean, that's a blue monster. That's not too bad. As soon as they start killing, we start getting some spiders. I don't have to use a Writhing Jar. This opens up a flash slot for me. Now, the summoning is a little clunky and it's a little slow here. But, yeah, not the worst. I don't hate it. That's pretty cool. Now, the downside, right, is pretty severe. I have to drop both Tempest Shield and Determination just to have those Skitterbots there. But, they are dealing a little bit of damage. It's not, like, appreciable damage. And then I can actually accelerate this a little bit by having Desecrate down, summoning some corpses, and then I can do Flesh Offering, I can do my Vol Haste, and now everything is just kind of ripping. And then the engine is going, right? And, the cool thing about this, like, I think this is probably just, like, a fun meme thing, right? Like, I don't think we have to do a single target test, right? There isn't really any appreciable damage that we're doing here, but yeah, not bad. Like, you saw what the Skitterbots were doing for damage there. It's not that bad. And yeah, we'll just zoom through this map real quick. Not too bad. I am missing something. Hold on. I am missing my Despair real quickly. We're missing quite a bit. Yeah, okay. I was like, the clear looks pretty bad here. Well, what are we missing? Yeah, a couple things changed here. And then I can't fit in Punishment right now. There were some downsides. By losing 4 gem sockets like that, right? That's not the best. All right. Pretty cool. I like the idea. I don't think this is ideal, but I like the idea, right? Pretty cool idea. Now, right, we're already in the situation, however, where, and I do have to use a Writhing Jar, right? We go in the boss room, the spiders were falling off. The only way to get those spiders back, we still have to use the Writhing Jar, right? So that doesn't really, it's a cool idea, but for me, this doesn't really solve any problems. It's kind of like a cute little meme idea. Let's build on that, however. I have a little bit of an alternate idea that I want to show you guys. All right, so the other idea from Mr. Mollusk here was to use SRS with Feeding Frenzy. And I wanted to combine that with his original idea, actually, because I think the Skitterbot thing is a cute idea, but if we're not scaling fire damage, it's just, you're losing so much, right? And especially since we're using Wither, and there's already so much increased damage taken. Shock is doing very little. Chill is nice, but besides that, I just don't think it is a very good use of resources. However, I do really like the idea of SRS right here. So I just bought a regular 2120 SRS. I have that linked with Feeding Frenzy. If you don't know, the cool thing about Feeding Frenzy is it grants you a buff that is 10% more minion damage, 10% increased minion movement speed, and 10% increased minion attack and cast speed, which is just huge, right? That's a really, really big buff. But normally, you know, we don't really have good access to that. So being able to generate Feeding Frenzy is pretty big for this build. I think it's a pretty big buff for the spiders. Awaken minion damage and Awaken Unleash are the links here. Unleash, just like, I don't really have that much access to cast speed. I'm not really scaling that too much. And I just want to get the skulls out. You know, I want to get the Raging Spirits out ASAP. I was thinking, right, you know, with the Gravebind, since the skulls count as, I keep calling them skulls, since the Raging Spirits, you know, count as your kills, they will also generate the spiders. Now, the first kill, right, Profane Bloom will destroy corpses. So that first kill is not really going to work. You are still going to have to cast some Desecrate there. But if they do enough damage, right, we're scaling a lot of minion damage on this build. If they do enough, you know, that's going to be just a buff to the build in general, right? Like a lot more damage in general. So that's what I wanted to try here and just see what this feels like. So let's see how the Raging Spirits do. Not bad. Not bad at all. As you can see, right, the Profane Bloom is destroying corpses. So those first couple of packs of monsters, right, that got killed weren't generating any spiders, right? And that is kind of a downside almost of the Profane Bloom if you are doing anything that will just automatically be killing the monsters. And if you want to summon your spiders or anything from a corpse, Profane Bloom is like almost a downside for that. But yeah, now we're just kind of ripping, right? And the cool thing is it gives me something to do. That is kind of like the thing that felt weird to me is I didn't really have too many buttons to press. And as you know, as someone who usually plays builds that often have a lot of buttons, it is nice to just have something to press, you know, on my right click or, you know, whatever your main skill button is to feel like you're contributing, right? Just like, I feel like, you know, I'm like the coach in the back just saying, hey, get to work, boys. But yeah, being able to press a button and feel like I'm contributing by, you know, summoning more Raging Spirits here, it feels like I'm doing something at least. And it does look like they do decent damage. Those skulls are really chunking the monsters. I actually want to do a little bit of comparison here for the single target damage. So yeah, really cool. Now, there is some additional tech that I actually wanted to test here. I do think that comment at the beginning was a little unfair, right? Like, I did say in the video, like, I totally understand why people like this build. I just, like, with that amount of jank and like, how clunky it was to, like, get the engine running and the spiders falling off, and it felt like you were playing, like, a daycare nanny or something, and, like, you know, as someone who's playing, like, a really strong bow build right now, and it did really great to me. All right, so we do have to summon some spiders here. So I can pop my Writhing Jar. We got 20 spiders up. Now we're scaling a little bit. So they're obviously not doing great single target, but yeah, that definitely feels better, right? Like, the big thing here is I was able to get all of my auras back on. You know, I think, like I said, Skitterbots is obviously, like, kind of a inefficient use of resources. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I think that was a much better setup, at least, for getting it going. And it's likely overkill here to have it linked to all of this, right? I could probably drop Unleash. I could probably drop the Awaken minion damage and just have, like, SRS. And, you know, the Feeding Frenzy is on hit, so that's going to be generating pretty often, so that's great. Linking 4 gems here is almost definitely overkill. But the Feeding Frenzy, you know, I only have to press the button once in a while in my fight, and then I keep that up. I get a lot more damage on my spiders. I think that's cool. So, yeah, you know, definitely very promising. Now, again, the downside here is we're using the Gravebinds, which give us almost nothing, right? We're losing up to 4 links on our setup here. We're losing up to 4 gems, and the Gravebinds give us almost nothing. Like, some Chaos Res, Life on Kill. That's it, right? No life, no res, no increased damage in general. It's okay, but again, for me, it doesn't really hit the spot. It doesn't really solve anything. So yeah, let's do a quick little single target test. We'll put an Awaken Melee Fizz right here over our Melee Splash, and we'll just see what this feels like. So yeah, we got the same idea. We have to Desecrate still. We can summon some skulls early. A little bit less clunky, right, than Divine Ire, which is kind of nice. Get some more. Okay, another Desecrate. Get our Flesh Offering up. And yeah, have at it, boys. See how this goes. 18 spiders. Not too bad. All right, decent ramping damage. I don't mind it. Pretty good. Feels about comparable to my setup before, right? We gained Feeding Frenzy, but we did lose 64% increased damage, as well as the big bonus here on Punishment. So I didn't see the huge ramp below 50% life. You know, definitely a loss in spending those 4 sockets there, but gaining that Feeding Frenzy and the SRS, we'll pocket that in the back of our head for our final setup. So yeah, keep that in the back of your mind. But the Gravebinds are going away. I think that was enough experimenting with the Gravebinds. I do really want to keep the, the main Blasphemy setup right here. I think this is very, very powerful. The Punishment, Arrogance, Despair, and Blasphemy. The Arrogance, 19% aura effect, right? The reason why we can do this is we are using an Presence, the Despair, and the Punishment totally free. So Arrogance is just, it's a free aura effect. There were a bunch of comments about the Gravebind, so I kind of wanted to lump all that together. So there were a handful of people that talked about the Gravebinds, mostly people saying that it was bad, and I do agree. Like, I think that if you can avoid using them, not the best in slot, right? Since the gloves are so weak, you can make it work. I just wanted to show that there's setups where you could probably make it work and, figure out something there. Now, there were quite a few people. So Mr. Mollix here mentioned Cyclone, as well as Mr. Malcheer right here. We got a lot of misters in the chat. Also Voodoo here talking about Cyclone, although Voodoo here is saying couldn't play it without Gravebinds and Cyclone. Just saying that felt way better for them. But yeah, there were a bunch of mentions of Cyclone. I didn't want to call that out. But yeah, tons and tons of comments about Gravebinds. So we also have the Cyclone here, right? We have Cyclone, we have Castwell Channeling, and we can combine that with a few other things. And I want to call out, we have from Miss Willow here. Let me find the comment. The big one here. This is Miss Willow. You are who inspired this video. Arakali's expert here. You don't have much invested into this build yet. I did spend 100 divines, so I had a high expectations, right? However, you can do a lot to improve this build. This one I found really, really interesting. This one might solve a lot of my problems with the overall feel of it. Is alt quality convocation plus enhance for 80% increased movement speed. Also, they're saying that they run with a 6-link enhanced setup, which is pretty wild. We're just gonna try a 2-link right here. Well, might end up being technically more than a 2-link. As you saw when I was going up and down the map, my big complaint with this is the fact that just those spiders are so far behind you. And like, this build is a very fast build because we have so much attack speed. We gain so much attack speed from Spiritual Command right here, and we're scaling a lot of minion attack speed. That, yeah, we go fast. We're a fast build. And the spiders are just way behind us. Combined with the Ancient Skull saying that when the minions heal Whispers, you can't use Convocation. That felt really bad. That's one thing that we're going to be testing here. Now, number 2 here, I actually disagree with quite a bit. This does not have anything to do with minion builds. This is just understanding defense in Path of Exile. Saying that Brass Dome isn't the best defensive core. It's good on a budget, but not at the high end. I mean, Brass Dome's not that cheap for a reason. I recommend Lightning Coil or Doppelganger. You'll notice in my inventory here, I did buy a Doppelganger. I think Doppelganger is very competitive here. So I'm not downplaying the Doppelganger, but the recommendation of Lightning Coil is the budget option. I think Lightning Coil is a great budget item, but I do want to show that you can really see what the real defensive setup is here in just double checking in POB right here. You can see I have a Brass Dome on right now, and all you have to do, and this is a really nice little tip you can do, is you can just type in Doppelganger right here, and you can just mouse over it. And you can see that I lose effectively 15k EHP, which is 12%. And I know I'm not a huge like EHP fan. It does lead you astray, but it's a good leading indicator to, the way that things work. However, max hit does matter, right? We can see that we do gain 13% Fizz max hit. That's great. However, we lose 26% Fire, Cold, and Lightning max hit. Do not discount, particularly this version of the build. There's no way that you could easily get 100% spell suppression, right? So we really rely on max res for dealing with big elemental hits and particularly elemental spell hits. By not getting a lot of max res and not having another source of crit immunity, big spells are like, I am always way more scared of big elemental hits than physical hits. A lot of people talk about Fizz max hit and like that's the most important thing in the game, and everyone talks about it. And I really like 70 to 80% evasion, decent life pool, and max spell suppression. I'm pretty happy, right? Honestly, Fizz max hit is useful. It's an important number, but it's not as important as people say. Like, while the Fizz max hit goes up, it doesn't go up like crazy, right? I go from 28k Fizz max hit to what I would go to like 32k fizz max hit. That's pretty good. Let me double check that my molten shell is currently on. Let's turn it down so we have a little bit more fair numbers here. But you can see this build is still pretty darn tanky. If we look at Doppelganger, right, we gain 20% fizz max hit, pretty good. We still gain really good right there. Now, the really nice thing is the chaos max hit, because it has a 40% less chaos damage taken multiplier, which is gigantic. So any chaos damage, like we already have max chaos res, so I think that is really notable. But losing about 14% max hit for fire, cold, and lightning, I don't love that. Not to mention that by losing a gigantic chunk of armor, our molten shell becomes significantly weaker. I am not trying to downplay the Doppelganger. Remember, I said the Doppelganger I think is a very good option. I think it's very, very competitive, but just know that you are going to take more fire, cold, and lightning damage. Gaining some evasion here is pretty nice. Very competitive if we want to add in a Jade Flask, with the base evasion rating. That's going to be pretty good. However, Lightning Coil to me is just generally going to be worse. We do gain 18% Fizz max hit, but again, we lose 14% Fire, Cold, and Lightning max hit. Our EHP pool goes down by 23%. We lose 60 Lightning res. This build already is very unique heavy, as you can see. So gaining that res back is going to be a pain in the butt. Lightning Coil is a spectacular early league defensive body armor for a lot of builds. If we're talking in a higher end, I think, Brass Dome or Doppelgangers, and I think they're equally competitive. And Doppelgangers only really fully equally competitive when we talk about something a little bit further down the line. And also, I was thinking about doing a fourth vow setup as well. Fourth vow is absolutely incredible. You can do fourth vow with Divine Flesh, and you do all that type of traditional setup. And this will also make you very, very tanky with the right configuration. And then you can add in Blood Notch and all that type of stuff. There's a lot of defensive opportunities with this build. The other really nice thing about Doppelgangers, which solves a lot of my problems with this build, I actually love the Doppelganger suggestion, is that you regenerate 10% life over 1 second when hit. Also, this insanity thing, you want to always be sane. If you don't know about Doppelgangers, when you equip it, what it does is it gives you a skill here called Unhinge. Relinquish your grip on reality. And when you cast it, it will then make you insane. When you're sane, you become tankier. When you're insane, you do more damage. You crit more. We always want to be sane. We want to stay sane, Exile. We gain so much benefit. Up to 40% less physical and chaos damage taken. The huge thing with the Doppelgangers here is it's also taken over time. It doesn't save from hits. This is an incredible body armor that, I think is actually dramatically underused. Also regenerate 10% life over 1 second while hit, and it has a decent amount of evasion, and we don't care about energy shield on this build. However, by losing the Brass Dome, we do lose the 5 to all max res. I still have +3 to my max res from the imbalanced guard right here, but it's actually proportionally less worth investing into. The higher your max res, the more worth it is to invest into it, right? So this was worth it when I had the Brass Dome, but without the Brass Dome, this might be a waste of 4 points, because I'm spending 2 points to grab the Impossible Escape, and then another 2 points here. 4 points for +3 all res, probably still pretty good. We get some good chunk of armor there, but it becomes less of a compelling argument to take at that point. The big thing that we lose that I think is so undervalued by that person, by Miss Willow here, talking about the Brass Dome not being that good, but is made up for by Miss Willow's other suggestion, is the take no extra damage from critical strikes. Now, the cool thing that, and I don't know if this was intended in the comment, but the cool thing here is you can drop the helmet and run a Viridi's Veil for a level 6 Enlighten and run permanent normal haste. Now, I was complaining about this in the video yesterday, is I can't run haste, right? I actually don't have enough mana reservation in my default setup here to run haste. We are using Vol haste as, whenever it's up, but we don't have haste. And that felt kind of bad to just have that gem socket sitting there and just like, oh man, if I had haste all the time, it felt kind of bad. And if I just had haste all the time, how cool would that be? However, I do really like the suggestion. Put it in a Viridi's for +2 to your Enlighten, right? Viridi's gives you +2 to level of socketed gems. That can potentially allow us to run permanent normal haste, which is really cool. What that does is Ancient Skull gives our minions 50% attack speed when they hear the whispers. By running haste all the time, they'll get back about 25% increased attack speed, but they'll have it all the time, not only when they've heard the whispers. And we gain access to Convocation and a few other things, which is really cool. Well, I firmly disagree about the Lightning Coil, and I think Doppelgangers is like kind of general downgrade from the Brass Dome. Usually, I think they're probably pretty close, but as soon as you take into account the critical strike, then Brass Dome becomes better. However, by using Viridi's has a really cool thing that says damage of enemies hitting you is unlucky while you have a magic ring equipped, and take no extra damage from critical strikes if you have a magic ring in your left slot. That's pretty cool. Now, normally, normal builds, you would be thinking, whoa, a magic ring, that kind of sucks. Why would I give up all these really cool stats that I use my ring for to, make my build stronger? Au contraire. So the thing is, our Ancient Skull sucks. Ancient Skull effing sucks, right? Again, this is another unique that we were only using for a little bit of minion damage and 50% minion attack speed. Our rings are literally just stat sticks, right? They give us no damage. It is only for life and res. And since the Ancient Skull gives us no res or life, this thing kind of sucks. And by going over to a Viridies here, that gives us up to 25 all res, we can get back a lot of that res, and we can have damage against us being unlucky, which is huge, just particularly for lightning damage, right? Which has a very high range. And taking no extra damage from critical strikes, as long as we're willing to use a magic ring here, then Doppelgangers becomes, in my opinion, significantly better than the Brass Dome if you're combining it with the Viridies. Because, unlucky damage, that's going to make up for a good amount of losing that max res, and taking no extra damage from critical strikes, that's pretty awesome. So I actually really, really like this idea. And so what we're going to do, is the left slot, right? I believe we want to keep the amethyst ring here. I'll double check. I just want to double check all my reses and everything. Yeah, that looks about right. I mean, we want the amethyst ring just to keep that chaos res up. So, yeah, we can use this magic ring. I hit this with a couple dozen alterations. T2 life, T2 res. And yeah, we're looking and feeling pretty good. So now all damage against us is unlucky. We are now still crit immune. And now we also take, up to 40% less physical and chaos damage, as well as less physical and chaos damage over time. My idea here is I want to kind of combine a lot of these ideas. I think there's a world where we figure out something with Casserole channeling. I really like the enhance with the convocation. This solves a lot of my speed clearing issue. And they're probably like, if there's something here, if we can just use Cyclone and Casserole channeling, Desecrate, and we can just kind of like tap that button. And I kind of want to like combine all of this. So let's see what we can figure out right here. All right, this is what I just cooked up based on those suggestions right now. Well, let me know what you guys think about this. What we're doing, and there's some pretty cool stuff in here. I have no idea if this is gonna work. So we're gonna be seeing this together for the first time. So what we're doing here is I'm using Divergent Cyclone, of course, so it gives us more movement speed, linked with Casserole channeling right here, Awakened, level 6, of course. Pretty cheap, actually. I think this was 3 divines. Just a regular Desecrate right now, Feeding Frenzy with Divergent Flesh Offering and Summon Raging Spirit. So the cool thing here is, we just sit here, channel our Cyclone. It's gonna, every 0.3 seconds, it's gonna cycle through those 3 spells, and it's gonna cast them. So yeah, that's what we're doing in the Doppelgangers, guys. That's what I put, SRS, Divergent Flesh Offering, and Desecrate here with also Feeding Frenzy, so we'll get that. There's gonna be a lot of flexibility here. I was thinking about putting Convocation in here as well, but I wanted to put that on left click. There's a fun little thing here that I actually accidentally discovered, is with my shield charge right here. I was like, oh man, I can't fit in, I'll drop faster attacks, right? Sucks to lose the attack speed, but, I'll make do. Because I needed a 2-link for the Convocation, right? We really want that enhanced with the Convocation. 88% increased movement speed for the spiders. I am very excited to see how fast they are. The thing here is the level 4 enhance actually gives us quite a bit more movement speed on our shield charge. We can see it goes from 132 up to 156% increased movement speed. So my shield charge actually still feels very, very snappy. And with my Quicksilver, right, it's really, really fast actually. So that's pretty sick. So I can pop my worms, and then I can just sit here and channel my spells. Let's see. It looks like I got my offering up. Spiders are out, and yeah, let's just let them rip. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, I don't have a flame dash right now, so I will have to kind of run a little bit. Let's see how fast these spiders are. Let's get our Vol Haste up. I'm walking over some dots here. Yeah, I lost the vitality, so my life recovery is going to be a little mediocre right now. Is all my res capped? It is. Interesting. What am I taking damage from here? Eldritch minions drop burning ground. Let's fix that real quick. The classic. The classic overtuned mechanic. That is very easy to deal with, but man, that's an all or nothing type of thing. All right, let's kick the engine off here again and just see what it feels like. So pop my Writhing Jar, see if it pops in the right order. All right, we only got 2 spiders out of that. Let's try that one more time. We actually want to channel for a little bit first, so there's corpses on the ground, and we're good to go there. Then we can pop them, and yep, get some spiders out. Oh, the Flesh Offering actually consumed more corpses than I'm comfortable with. Yeah, that's a little janky. but hopefully this feels pretty good. Yeah, we got 20 spiders going. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if the skulls are really going to be worth it here, the Raging Spirits. If they do give me Feeding Frenzy, yep, they do. Let's see how this does on the Legion. Pop the Ball Haste. Yeah, no Flame Dash. I definitely need an Unset Ring here. Fit that back in. We are pleased. Yeah, I mean, when we're cruising, we're cruising. If I just play it properly, right? I guess, you know, I think the big thing here is only when I'm kind of in a big, scary pack of monsters do I even really need to channel anything. Just to get that Flesh Offering up. Is it up? It is up, yeah. I guess it takes a second or two to actually show up after it casts. This is the first type of video that I've made like this. Hopefully you guys like it. This is basically me streaming right now. This is my experimentation phase and how I make builds usually on stream. So yeah, hopefully this is a fun process to show on a video as well. Yeah, so I just spent a while trying to figure out why I couldn't summon the spiders in a consistent way. And it was the automatic Flesh Offering. It was casting like right away every single time that I was hitting Cyclone. And I wasn't able to consistently kill the worms that come out of the Writhing Jar before the Flesh Offering casts. It's such a loss of quality of life. I think for mapping, it's fine. I would actually want something else to be able to kill the spiders, to just like, this is the jank, right? Like, I want a one button, summon the spiders consistently, exactly how I want. You know, maybe there isn't a direct path here. Really wanted to just solve everything for single target and mapping, and making sure that the spiders were summoned in a very easy way every single time. I really liked the idea of just always having the Flesh Offering up all the time because it's automatically casting. And yeah, but what I was just playing around with as I was buying a bunch of gems is I bought a Summon Skeletons as well as a Dark Pact. The Raging Spirits, they hit really hard and they're fast, but they only do fire damage. And if I had the Skeletons and I'm using Dark Pact and, you know, Chaos damage, I don't know. I think the Dark Pact was just kind of silly, but yeah, maybe the Feeding Frenzy. I think the Feeding Frenzy thing has kind of been leading me astray here. We can ditch that, and this is what I'm thinking right now, is we can do Enhanced Convocation right here. I get back my Flame Dash. Thank God. Enhanced Divergent Cyclone, Castle Channeling, Convocation. No Flame Dash for me right now. We're gonna manually cast our Flesh Offering here as well. It's just too annoying to me to have that Flesh Offering consuming the Desecrate before the spiders come out. That's really bothering me. I think I have to manually cast it. All right, we'll just leave the Skeletons in. I don't know what else to put into that last gem socket right now. I can't put in, unfortunately, I can't put in Flame Dash. I mean, I guess it would make us kind of map a little bit quicker by just spamming that with the Castle Channeling. It's kind of cute. So we'll put in our Awakened Melee Fizz. And yep, this also gives us Molten Shell back on our left click. So manually Desecrate, Writhing Jar, Cyclone to kill the spiders. Good enough. Okay. Yeah, we're basically where we were at the beginning. All right. And it should accelerate to some pretty good damage when it gets lower, because we have both Punishment now and Despair. All right, yeah, decent damage. And we'll do a Searing Exarch at the end of the video as well. Oh, this is kind of an interesting idea. For mapping, we could actually just swap these two gems. We could put Convocation in the boots, and we can put Flesh Offering in the Castle Channeling. This way, we get back our Convocation on left click. It's always going to be up as we're running, and this way, Flesh Offering is always up while we're doing regular content. Okay, let's test this very quickly, and let's pay very close attention to how quickly the spiders run. All right, let's see. Can I get some spiders? I got 8 spiders. Good enough. And yeah, you can see we're still going really, really quickly. And hopefully the spiders are just kind of keeping up with us here, especially with the Convocation, right? They should be. And yeah, as long as I channel a little bit to keep my Flesh Offering up, that's basically all we're doing here. And we can go pretty quick. All right, I don't hate this. I don't hate this idea. I see the appeal. It is a very neat build. with a lot of access to a lot of different tech. And definitely, if I'm doing anything like horrifically wrong here, let me know. I'm trying to figure out the right, you know, what's the essence of what makes this so compelling of a build and what's so fun about it. Like, I get it, you know, I don't have to, not pressing much here. And, you know, people were talking about a Guardian variation or a Champion variation even. Champion's cheating, right? Put anything on a Champion and it feels basically immortal. So I'm down to 12 spiders right now. I gotta like, yep, down to 10 spiders. So some Desecrates, some Writhing Jar, 14 spiders. See if we can get another one. Actually, you know what? I think the skeletons are conflicting with my spider summoning. Let's go out and back in again. Yeah, I think any minions at all, right? It's gonna make that very clunky. I think minions are just a no-go. I don't like it. All right, it interferes with what I'm trying to do. Like, I don't know why I only got 2 spiders there. Oh, well, it's because of the flesh offering, right? All right, let's do that again. Right? Now you guys are seeing exactly what's, like, kind of annoying me here. Because, like, I can't do anything until I have the spiders. And so now I cast a couple Desecrates. Now I kill the spiders. Now I got 18, and we're good to go. And now I can put the flesh offering back in, right? Like, yes, I can manually cast, and I don't mind doing that, but I was really looking for, you know, a one-size-fits-all type of situation here. Okay, and also all of that was with Divergent Melee Splash. Okay, let's do a quick little single target. I just want to call out is that this is 100-ish Divines setup, right? And I have, like, pretty darn good, you know, gems and everything. I have the Amamamu's Gaze and everything. I have really good large cluster jewels. All of my Awakened gems are like 620 corrupted and everything. People are saying, hey, this build helped me kill Ubers. I think the champion version, people are saying that. Maybe the occultist version's you know, just a mapping monster and it's just not made for being like a full all-rounder. Like it can get the job done, but that's like not really its goal. All right, get our Desecrates up. 14 spiders. 20 spiders. Okay.
Your absurd defiance ends here.
A flesh offering. I offer my flesh to you.
Annihilation.
I mean, not bad. I mean, that's respectable, right? You know, it's 100 divines. Like technically, I think I'm around 40 million DPS actually. Nearly at the dot cap in this configuration. So pretty good damage. I just wanted to share with you guys, you know, this is a, you know, a bit messy of a video. I usually try to edit it and be like super, super strict about, you know, just sharing the information. But I think this process, you know, this is what I do on stream all the time. And I just want to share with you guys like this messy process, what I do as I work through builds. And, you know, I 100%, I believe you guys. I believe that I don't know all the answers right now. There's a lot of different variations. You know, there's different ascendancies. I saw a solstice visual situation. I also know there's a version where you actually have another Aracollies that you weapon swap to an Aracollies with an Aegis. Apparently, when a spider gets summoned, it snapshots with that configuration. So you summon all 20 with the Squire, and then you weapon swap to an Aegis, and then you become very, very tanky. I think the Doppelganger plus the Virides plus the Blue Ring, I think that's a very cool little setup right there. Is that strictly better than a Brass Dome? I do think it is better. It opens up another aura for you to use, which is great, but I don't think it's like strictly better. Although I do think the 40% less Fizz and Chaos damage dot is really good. So I think that's very compelling in this version of the build. I tried all of your suggestions. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Hopefully it was very clear here at the end that I really want to demonstrate like that jank of summoning the spiders. I tried everything with Gravebinds and without Gravebinds, with Castwell channeling setups and not Castwell channeling setups. For me, that's like, it's just a little too annoying for like to be in love with the build. Also in a League Starter scenario, like how early are you going to get, you know, a Squire and a Viridi's Veil, and like my damage gets cut in half, right? If I don't have a Squire or less than that. It's a cool build. You know, hopefully you learn something, you know, that I try to just let my biases be here and just show you guys all the jank and experimentation, and I just wanted to share with you guys the process a little bit. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Happy if you guys are in the United States. I've been listening to firecrackers and fireworks going off the entire time I've been recording. So like some of those cuts there were just me, you know, waiting for the fireworks to stop going off. Happy actual 4th of July and not Independence Day for everybody else not in America. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, just I want to share with you guys Path of Exile stuff as we're ramping up for ExileCon. I'm going to be there. So yeah, hopefully I can meet some of you guys there. It's going to be a great time. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all soon. Goodbye.